Hey guys, welcome here to The Fishing Teacher, and appreciate you guys joining me for today's episode. And guys, today I want to talk about pink lures. Any type of lure that has a little bit of pink on it. This is an excellent color under a very specific set of circumstances. A lot of people have never used them. Guys, I have caught a ton of good fish on pink, and I sort of want to go over when I use pink and when you want to use it, when you want to try it, when it outproduces other lures. So we're going to get into that in today's video. Also, guys, thank you very much for everybody that's taken time to subscribe here to The Fishing Teacher. Really appreciate you guys hitting that subscribe button, man. It really helps the channel out when you do that and comment on the videos. We also have channel memberships here to The Fishing Teacher. You can just hit the join button for information on that. And also, guys, real quick, anybody interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, just go to my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler, and shoot me a private message, and I'll get you the details on that. So really appreciate that. Okay, guys, I have been using pink on and off for many, many years. Let me sort of explain to you guys the evolutionary process in this. I had heard guys catching them on pink. You hear, once in a while, you hear people fishing oddball colors here and there. And I didn't think much about it. I thought, well, whatever, it worked for them. But you didn't hear enough about it to really try it. So it wasn't until I really got on to fishing a pink crappie jig that I realized how productive this was, because one of the friends I used to crappie fish with a lot many, many years ago, his favorite was a pink crappie jig. And he got me using a pink crappie jig, and I caught tons of crappie on a pink crappie jig. And the thing that I noticed is when we were crappie fishing, a lot of times I'd catch bass. I'd catch, 2-3 pound bass on a crappie jig on the pink crappie jig. So it got me thinking, it's like, man, if these bass are biting a pink crappie jig, why couldn't I use like a traditional bass fishing lure and, start, catching bass on it? So very first time I tried a pink lure is I was fishing, this was a 1991 Bassmaster Missouri Invitational at Truman Lake. And I'd heard somebody had told me about using pink spinner baits. So I was down, Lucky Strike was a sponsor of mine at the time in Cassville, Missouri. And I'd go down there and I'd get baits down at the factory once in a while. And they had some pink spinnerbait trailers. I'd never seen them before. So I just grabbed a handful of those pink trailers. And I went up there to Truman Lake where the Missouri Invitational was. And the water was dirty, and I had a chartreuse spinnerbait, and I wanted to try to catch him on a spinnerbait. And I just said, man, I'm gonna just try this. I'm gonna put this pink trailer on my chartreuse skirted spinnerbait. And guys, after 3 days, I was leading the tournament. And the last day of the tournament, Rick Clun beat me out. He caught a big fish right at the end of the day. I finished second in the tournament, and almost won that tournament on a chartreuse spinnerbait with a pink trailer on it. And it really stood out in the water, the pink on there. And ever since then, guys, I've identified the circumstances where pink works, and I've utilized it for like my jerkbait fishing sometimes, different type of swim bait fishing, trailers on a spinnerbait, a pink skirt on different stuff. I'll use partially pink on a chatterbait. I've used pink on a swim jig before. I just incorporate it with some as an accent color on a lot of different things that I've been using. Now, in order for pink to work, you got to have the right set of circumstances. There's a very small window when pink works, but when you have that window, it can be the best color. It will make the difference between you catching a ton of fish and not catching anything. Okay, here is the perfect scenario for pink. Number one, you have got to have water visibility that is between, say, 10 inches of clarity and no more than 15 inches, 10 to 15 inches. So in other words, about maybe a foot to a foot and a half, because that water clarity window can be affected by like light intensity and stuff like that. But if you got a foot to a foot and a half clarity, that's going to be the number one thing. And the second thing behind that is you got to have some type of wind and overcast, some extent of wind and overcast. So say, for example, if it's dirtier, say the water visibility is maybe 8 inches, like it's dirty water, you could probably get by catching them on the pink trailer if you had a little bit lighter overcast. Say, for example, it was cloudy, but it was sort of thin clouds. And then on the other end of the spectrum, if the water visibility is like a foot and a half clear, you could probably catch them maybe even down to 2 foot if it's cloudy and rainy. But you want that visibility window that I just talked about there, because there's something about that visibility window that it creates this glow on the pink the fish, it's really appealing to them. And if it's clearer than that, if the light intensity and the water clarity is greater than what I just talked about, that glow sort of goes away and the bass will not react to it. Or if it's dirtier, say if the water visibility is muddy, 4 or 5 inches of visibility, you don't have that same visibility in terms of the glow. But there's a glow that is created with pink in that window that I just described that it produces a lot. I mean, I catch a lot of fish on it. And the other thing with that is the pink is always better during the pre-spawn time of the year when the water temperature is in the 50s. So I haven't caught much on pink, any other time. It's basically a pre-spawn deal. So here's the ideal situation, guys. You're out there in March or April, and you got water temperature, in the mid 50s, and you got water visibility around 10 or 12 inches, overcast day. Just try it, guys. Just try some pink. They will light it up. And for a jerkbait like this, I've caught a ton of fish on a jerkbait on pink when you have that water visibility sort of on that upper end, like 1.5 feet of visibility. One of the best days I ever had jerkbait fishing last year, I was up at Stockton Lake, and it was February up there, and the water visibility, it was a little bit stained. There was something about the creek I was in that the water was a little stained, and so I only had about probably, I'm gonna guess, 1 foot of visibility up there. It was a cloudy day, it was windy, it was cold, and guys, I wrecked them on a pink jerkbait up there. And I went up there, and after I did that, I said, man, I found a new color. They're gonna bite this thing. Nobody's throwing it. And I started throwing it in different conditions. Like I went up there a couple weeks later and it was bright and sunny, they didn't bite it. Or if the water got a little bit cleaner, say I went to a different part of the lake and the water got, twice as clear, they wouldn't bite it. It was just that window there. So anyway, guys, there's a lot of different pink lures. If you see one, it's good to pick up a few to just, get into that, frame of mind I talked about. If I could give you some tips on this, is try to get a pink spinnerbait trailer. Everybody knows a pink floating worm works, that's a given, or a pink fluke, something like that. And try to make your own skirts, like with some type of a white and pink or chartreuse and pink, and then some type of a jerkbait with some variation of pink on the side. So anyway, guys, hope it helps you catch some good ones, and we'll check in later.